going on, everyone? We have already a lot of people here. Some of you actually started early. I was watching y'all chit chat. Got Canadian Diesel. He was in stupid early. You got here at 7:21 my time. That's 40 minutes early, man. What are you doing checking in that early? Lakes, always good to see you, sir. We got Garage Monkey. Some of you are asking for other things to learn about. Yeah, we're going to finish up with STIS. I threw a joke in there saying that maybe we could do something with Ford EcoBoost. Quick Wrench, good to see you here today too. All right, like always, we're going to do our Saturday tool giveaway from Tecton. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up our little banner here while we get a soft start going on. So to get into the drawing for today's stream, again, you have to be a member of the channel. Let me go ahead and demonstrate how you would do that, as I've already had a few people questioning. Let me set up a YouTube page here. And I got a dummy account ready to go. Share that screen with you right now. Share just a window. Share the whole window. There we are. All right, so you'll go to YouTube, type in Baja Automotive. You'll find where I'm at. Click on the channel, and you'll subscribe. Yay! Might have to click on a video to get it. No, it's not going to show it, but on every single video, you'll see a join to become a member, or you can join from the main page. Fortunately, I'm just logged into this duplicate account that I tried to make to show it to you. It's not going to let me do it. And if I sign out, it's going to crash my Google. Dang it. But this is where you would do it. You go to a main page, or you'll find the join button from any one of the videos. How about I bring my mic up? Golly, guys. Yeah, nobody gave me a mic check there. My bad. All right. So let me just get it in 20 seconds or less from the top. At 9 o'clock, we're going to do the tool giveaway. You have to be in the live stream to win, and you have to be a member of the channel. I made membership the cheapest that it can be because I think that's only fair. I'm not here to capitalize off of you. I'm here to offer out education. And if I make a little coin along the way from you viewing the videos, so be it. Anyhow, to make it fair for viewers and contributing members, you go to the Baja Automotive YouTube main page and you'll find the join channel button, or you can find the join on any one of the videos. That's it. It's 99 cents a month. So, I mean, you can't even get a cup of coffee at McDonald's for 99 cents anymore. It's ridiculous. Gonna be nursing some coffee at the same time. I'm exhausted. But here's what I want to get to. I want to try and do a membership drive for the next 2 months. If we hit 1,000 members, this is going to be a grand prize for 1,000 members on the channel right here from Tecton Tools. This is going to be their mobile pack out system that they've set up here. It is on 4 heavy duty casters. These are not the cheap casters. These casters are rated for transmission fluid, so they're not going to fall apart. Each one of these drawers is going to have foam cutout tools, and the tools do come with it. Each one of these drawers has its own individual lid on it too. So if you wanted to set up a drawer for a specific task, you could just take that one drawer with you to the job. This is fantastic for anybody who has tight garage space at home, doing some driveway jobs, or if you live in an apartment and you just don't have a place to put tools. And you can definitely expand upon this tool set. That's what I really like about it. You can get all of these little trays extra, and the plastic that it's made out of is an ABS plastic, super strong, just like the Milwaukee and the DeWalt totes that are getting advertised. They do offer organizers, and you can get your own custom foam tool cutout trays so you can organize it for anything else that you want. Fantastic little setup, and that's going to be part of our membership drive. So I want to get to 1,000 members to be able to offer that to everybody. So that'll be a big, big, big giveaway. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, foam cutout for tools. Yeah, it's got like a tool checkout system in it. So it's black on red. So if you got a tool removed, you'll see a big red spot. You'll be able to see it. What's going on, Learning with Juan? We're just talking about our big membership drive that I'm gonna push for the next 60 days. And if we hit 1,000 members, then we're going to do a live stream raffle off for this, members only. It's a $1,200 deal, shipped directly to you, packed full of tools. I believe that this tool set also has, yeah, you're going to get a set of SAE wrenches, you'll get a set of metric wrenches, and then you'll get SAE and metric sockets. So that'll be pretty much everything you need to do some home renovation, home repair, or just have something really, really cool in the corner of the apartment there. I'm going to go ahead and set up our presentation because we are ready to rock and roll at 8:07. We'll gaslight this thing. Get it presentation mode. Give me my window back. Sorry, StreamYard is just not good for doing these, but I found a way around it. Just takes a little extra minute. All right. Share screen. Share that window right there. Oh, yeah. Let me try and throw my head up there. Get more screen on the table so everyone can see. Make sure I got my notes. Yep, that'll work. It's gonna have to work. StreamYard, you're being broken. Yeah, let me do a mental reset here. I think I know what the problem is. Reduce, switch screens around, present mode, switch displays, share that screen. Yeah, it should let me do it now. That's a boo. Damn it, you did an update. Okay, let's find out where we left off now. Where did we leave off at? I think we finished up. Is this where we left off, guys? Service diagnostics. I think we covered all the free stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's where we kind of killed it off at. We left it off right here. Not a problemo. Got to find out why it will not let me have my chat screen up at the same time. It wants to be an ass. I'm gonna try one more way to present it. Stop share, add, share screen. Let's do entire screen. I bet you it's gonna let me cheat that way. Ooh. New member to the channel. Thank you very much. We will get you in the drawing today. Congratulations. Make sure you hang around for the 9 o'clock. And guys, if we start getting close to 9, start letting me know. All right, I give up. We're just going to go ahead and move with the way that it looks right now. So I'll just flip flop in between chat and try and catch up. All right, so we're going into our service diagnostic screen. I think it would be best if I just quickly recapped how you get your account going. It was all the way at the big. Hey, slow down there, slides. All right, so you're going to go right here to the website techinfo.subaru.com and you'll go here to purchase your subscription. Subscription prices are very fair. Okay. You can get a 72-hour, a 30-day, and a 365-day subscription. So 35 bucks, not too bad if you just got to do one project. If you're a shop that works on Subarus every once in a while, but not a whole lot, it's kind of one of the things where you just roll it into cost for the customer, and we just call that R&D. There's been a couple of times where I've had to work on a Jaguar, and I'll be like, I need Jaguar data. I don't trust this Mitchell. So we tell the customer, hey, we got to buy a 3-day pass so we could troubleshoot this thing. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's 30 bucks. So anything more than it's on the shop. And that's pretty standard in the aftermarket shop from what I learned. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get into our vehicles here. We're going to hit version 1 of STIS. And when you log in, you'll come to this main screen. We're going to click on the service diagnostics. You'll get a drop down dialog box. And we're going to click on view full archives. When you click on the drop down dialog box, it's only going to show you the last 6 years. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to select an old car here. We're going to get a 2008 Legacy Outback. And keep in mind that when STIS presents material, sometimes they will combine cars that are built off of the same chassis line. So the Legacy and the Outback, it's the same thing. One's a sedan, one is a wagon with a lift kit on it. So when you're looking at service data, you'll see some things where I'll point out where you have to know that you're looking at a Legacy or you're looking at an Outback. And that gets really particular when you're looking at maybe a wiring harness. Okay. Same thing goes for the Imprezas, the WRX, the STI. They'll all be in the same catalog. And you might even, the Forester stays in its own territory. For the few times that we had the Tribeca out there, that had its own territory. It didn't have any information that you would have to be wary about. So we're into our 2008 vehicle here. and this will be the page that you see. Not very entertaining. Sometimes we call it just like the purple screen of death. But we're going to be working with the main splash screen right here. You get four symbols. Uh, Let me back up. I know I got to follow my animations here. Okay. So right at the top bar, you got this button labeled top. And top is always going to take you back to the screen. So if you ever get lost in the service data, you need to get back to the home screen, click on top, and it's going to take you right back to this window. Here are the four icons that we're going to be teaching off of. You got visual contents, wiring diagram, DTC search, and index. And what you'll notice is those buttons do correspond with the headers at the top. Yes, they're the same buttons. Okay. Over here, this drop down dialog box, this is the manual pathway for you to search the catalog. If you didn't want to use the four button feature that I displayed earlier, you could just dig right into an engine or a suspension system and find what you needed and move along. It's very important that you understand that this website is nothing more than a GUI. We call that's GUI for short, graphic user interface. It's a graphic user interface for the 6,000 page source manual. Okay. So if you wanted to get the 6,000 page source manual and just do it yourself, that's not going to be a problem. You're just going to go doo, 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 right back here to our main splash page on the website, and you'll go to online reference and you can just get the service manual. This is supposed to reduce the headache. All right, so we'll dive into visual contents. This is actually pretty cool. So when you click on visual contents, it's going to be taken to this graphic, and you get a generic outline of a Impreza, it looks like. And you got it pointing at an engine, steering, airbag SRS, HVAC. This is body or chassis components. The battery is actually electrical. Then you got transmission, suspension, and braking system. If you click on one of these, you get a dialog box that pops up where then you can access the different sectors. I want to point out that you need to be looking at what's in these parentheses right here. So if you want to look at a fuel system, it says H4SO. H4 is a boxer style four-cylinder engine, single overhead cam. As we look farther down, we see fuel injection again for H4 DOTC. Okay. Four-cylinder boxer engine, dual overhead turbocharger. And again, fuel injection system H6 DO. That is a six-cylinder boxer engine, dual overhead camming. So make sure you pick the correct engine, as this particular Legacy Outback has three different engine setups. And of course, it will have three different transmission setups to go with it. Steering system is what it is, nothing spectacular. SRS, there's your choices. HVAC, be aware it's got auto AC and manual AC options, so make sure you're diagnosing the correct one. If you don't know, just look on the AC control module and see if you see a button that says auto. If it says auto, then it's an auto system. All right, body, it's where you'll find wipers and security. Okay, security and locks, that's where it likes to be hidden on this manual. Electrical, LAN system, immobilizers. Okay, lighting systems. Okay, transmission. There's our four different types of transmissions. We have the 4AT, the 5AT, and then we got the 5 and 6 speed manual transmissions. Basic front suspension components, nothing flashy. And then our braking system. Not all the vehicles back in the day, came with the VDC. It was still an option. And that's how you'll utilize that graphic. It's pretty self explanatory and it's actually pretty fun to navigate. All right, so now we're going to go up here to the index. We're going to click on index. Oops, I got ahead of my slide. Wiring diagram. We're going to click on the wiring diagram, not the index. And here we are. This is a index of wiring diagrams. So from the available letters here, you'll notice that these letters do correspond with the heads up. So we were in the A category right here, and that's where you find air conditioning, airbag. It's all in alphabetical order. Don't want to beat this slide up too much. It's actually pretty self-explanatory. You click and see what's out there. Backup lighting system, bulkhead wiring harness, so on and so forth. Uh, so you'll notice that also these boxes are kind of squished up and that T is getting cut off to the side. Well, that's because your browser that you're utilizing can sometimes change this website. So if you're like me and you're half blind and you like to use the zoom in feature, I always run my internet browsers at like 125%. Sometimes this website can get a little wonky as it tries to auto scale everything up, but you should be able to hover your mouse right over this line and you'll be able to move this off to the side and click on that T. All right, so we're in the wiring system that we want. Let's see here. We're gonna play around with the seatbelt. Let me check chat, see how chat's doing, because I can't have too many screens here. I need another monitor. Holy crap, you guys been talking. Man, we got a lot of chat to catch up on. What are you guys talking? Oh, did I leave that up the entire time? Good golly gosh, guys. I feel so bad. Need a moderator. Yes, welcome the new member. Huso, welcome. Or Sergio. Sorry, Sergio. Look who's here. What's up, JT? Eh, all right. Didn't learn anything from your oil video. Ha. Yeah, I saw it just occurred to me. Uh Wrenching Mafia, if you see him, congratulate him. One of his YouTube shorts made it on a popular YouTube channel on Donut Media. That's a really, really big channel that blew up super fast. So they were just kind of doing a mechanics tips video, and his got a very, very good 5 minute segment. That was pretty cool. We'll jump back into it. All right. So now you guys can see. I'm very sorry that was up there. Oh, my bad. All right. So we're in the seatbelt system. As soon as we clicked on it, you'll notice that we get a horrible low res picture here. Well, that's because we have to click on this PDF file. You also want to point out right here at this top dialog box, you'll notice that this drop down box has changed to body and electrical, and it is displaying the file path right here so you can follow along and you know where you're going. So if you click on the PDF, it's going to give you the option to print, and then you can print it out. I do want to point out that if this, see right here, this is the page marker. So it says SB for seatbelt system, page one. If this was a multi-page, you'll have to click on each individual page to print it out. That kind of sucks. All right, so we're in engine. Let's go to engine wiring harness. Let's get to a bigger one so you can see what's going on. All right, we're in engine and electrical. Always note the headers of where you are at. So we are looking at a 2.5 non-turbo model. Again, as I told you earlier, there are multiple engines that are equipped in this vehicle. Okay, we got a 4-cylinder NA, a 4-cylinder turbo, and a 6-cylinder. So basically, you you would just need to you would just have to keep scrolling down until you found the engine that you were needing. So there's the turbo one. And you'll notice that the left side here, it did an update because it's just going to load all the engine wiring diagrams at the same time. Okay, those ear markers right there's those display your page numbers. This wiring diagram for this engine is 10 pages long. So as I pointed out, if you click on that PDF document, it's only going to show you the one page at a time, and you have to do this 10 times if you want all the wiring diagram to be printed out. This later on gets changed, but for this purple are you purple old system, this is how it was. Now it worked. It worked. Okay. So if you don't like this and you want the real thing, we're going to go back here to the main website. You're going to select service manual. Okay. You'll punch in the vehicle that you want, hit search, and bring up the service manual. You'll be able to download the entire service manual and still use the service manual outside of your subscription. Okay. That's pretty cool. It's not going to queue you up to renew your license so far. So there's your download button. You click on it, and it's going to bring up this 6,000 page document. It's going to take a while. And so here, I checked out how big this one was, and it's 500 megabits. Uh, this PDF, when it opens up, it's going to be stored in your internet browser temporary file. So it's not downloading it to your desktop. It's not downloading it to your download folders, if that's what you're thinking. It's going to go to your internet browser temporary file, and after a while the internet browser is just going to purge that file when you don't want it anymore. So if you do want to save it, you're going to have to use the viewing box that you're utilizing it in and then save it again. So from the website, you click the download, you get a new display window or a new tab, depending on your browser settings. And then you're going to have to download it again if you want to work from it later and not have to go through the long download. So plan ahead if you're a mobile mechanic and you're operating off of your cell phone's internet connection. This could take a while to open and it might time out potentially. So plan ahead. If you're in a shop with crappy Wi Fi, again, it could take a little while to open up. So this is an interactive PDF. It's pretty cool. Yeah, every one of these little black functions right here, you can click on them. You'll notice right away we don't get the information that we want. Well, that's because this document, it's made up of about 6 indexes. So they weren't really planning on us surfing through this. So if you do a quick look for a quick reference, hitting Control F, you'll be able to just type in quick reference, and then you can automatically navigate to the quick references. And there we are. We're in the wiring system. So Control F is going to be your best friend. All right. There's an example of what I'm talking about. Control F, type in quick reference, and you'll get everything. Now, additionally, I do want to point out that if you do have Adobe Reader installed on your computer and you open the document up in Adobe Reader, then you are going to get the table of contents here on the side. That's really, really cool. So if you're using it in a browser and you don't see this, save the document to your desktop or into another folder and open it up in Adobe Reader. Then you'll be granted access to the filing system and you won't have to do Control F so much. So we're in the wiring system. Pay attention to these lines right here. So every page after this and the wiring system is going to be named WI-1, WI-2, even though our PDF viewer is going to say you're on page 4075. All right, so you will be able to just click on engine electrical and it's going to navigate you right there to engine electrical. Now, let's go ahead and print out our 10 pages. Okay. And we want to make sure we select custom. and set your page ranges. Now, my page ranges per my PDF viewer was 4,910 to 4,919. It is really easy to hit print all. Okay. A lot of people get excited because they're on the page that they're viewing. They click print. Then this page populates, and you're like, yeah, that's the page I want to print. And they print. And then they print 5,000 pages. That will crash your computer network at home or at work. And if it did somehow make it to the printer, canceling that print job will be next to impossible. I have seen people destroy entire reams of paper, like just a stack of paper that big, and the boss man just being like, "Here's your shop manual. You owe me 25 bucks for paper. Don't ever do that again." If you argue with him, he'll start charging you for a toner cartridge, and those are like 90 bucks to $200 a piece, depending on the laser printer that you have at the shop. So at least someone's gonna, one person's gonna do it. One person's gonna do it. I've done it at least once. Let's go to DTC search now. And we jump right to that. I got to fix all my animations. They're glitched. All right. So in DTC search, you're going to get this little push button thing. If you got a touchscreen computer, you can touch it and this will work. Or just go click happy with your mouse. Sometimes when you type in the code right here, the results will be nothing. If that happens, use these keys to punch it in. I don't know why it happens, but it happens sometimes. All right, so there's our code. It populated for a P0, uh, a P2098, and we're going to get two different types of codes populating. All right, you're going to get one that says detecting criteria, and the other one's going to say diagnostic procedure. If you're going to learn the troubleshoot correctly, I always insist, no matter how many times you've looked at this code, always look at your detecting criteria so you understand what systems that computer is monitoring in order to determine how to set that code. There's a lot of really good information that is in detecting criteria that you wouldn't even think about. Making sure that the battery has a stable voltage, making sure that the engine is at a specific temperature, um, how fast the oxygen sensor has to respond. All right. So if you were thinking, maybe this car has a lazy O2, there's the detecting criteria. All right. It'll explain how a lazy O2 sensor could cause this code to populate. And if you just go straight to diagnostic procedures, this diagnostic procedure is written in a manner that you've already read this. So it's not going to double up on information. They wrote this manual with the intention that you've already read this category first. Also note the type of engine. Okay. This this legacy Outback, remember I said had three different engine variations, but we're only looking at the H6. That means that the four-cylinder engines don't have this code programmed into it. That's very, very important to know when you're diagnosing. Don't always assume that all codes carry over to every vehicle, even if it's under the same brand name. It's a big rookie mistake, and I learned it the hard way once, okay? I had another customer that I love using this story because it fits so well, but he must have burned at least $800 on his own car trying to repair it, and he couldn't get it through his head why this was happening, and it was because he was like, "I'm a 20-year mechanic. I know everything." Dude, I can test to that. I'm a 10-year mechanic. I have tenure, but I know that I can be wrong. And recognizing that you are wrong is probably the greatest skill that you can have. And it took me at least 20 minutes to explain to him what was going on with his car. So here's a story really quick. he had a legacy with a single overhead cam engine in it, right? It's a boxer engine, it's 4 cylinders. You got your short block, a cylinder head, and a cylinder head, right? Well, he had a code for a cam position sensor. So, what does he want to do? He says, if I got a code, I need a sensor. And he came in and he said, put this sensor in my car. All right, that is an OEM part. I'll put it in. But would you rather I diagnose this problem for you before I put it in? Because it's like 3 hours of labor to put this sensor in. Okay. I have to like take the front cover off your engine. I got to remove a backing plate. I was like, would you want to just maybe throw $100 at me confirming you need it? And he goes, I'm a 20-year tech. I know what I'm doing. I just don't have Subaru tools to do it. Whatever. So boss man says, hey, sign this release that you're waiving diagnostics and you brought your own part and you want us to put it in. Because even if it is a Subaru part, we're not going to warranty it at our place. We can only warranty the parts you buy from us. Okay. He's a badass. I put it in. 2 hours later, I say, here you go. And by the way, the check engine light's still on. I cleared it and it came right back. So he's like, well, it's a defective part. Stupid Subaru. It's probably been sitting on a shelf for 15 years. I don't think so, man. I think you should pay me to diagnose it. So finally, so he decides that, he's going to argue with the manufacturer. The manufacturer paid me to put in another part. There was nothing wrong with it, by the way. They paid me to put in another part. They warrantied out that part under Subaru. Code came back immediately. Well, now he's all pissed off. He's like, well, it's got to be the engine computer then. He's like, damn it. I'll go to the junkyard. I'll get an engine computer. I'm like, bro, you know what? It's like, just let me look at it. For crying out loud, just let me look at the car. I was like, I'll just do it for free just to I was kind of in that mood. I'll just do it. So 30 minutes into it, I hook up my oscilloscope to the cam sensor, to the crank sensor, and I showed him the waveform and I says, look, your cam and crank is off. All right. You're off by like 5 milliseconds. And that's why you're throwing a cam code. He said, well, he's like, that's impossible. He's like, it should throw a cam crank correlation code. So I had to take him over to the list of DTCs for his engine and saying, there's no cam crank correlation code for this engine. If the code doesn't exist, it can't populate. You can't generate it. Well, how does that work? Well, you can actually average your signal between two camshafts, and that's what the single overhead engine does. It has two camshafts, one on each side of the block, but it was averaging that signal out. So if you throw a cam position sensor, you need to scope your cam and your crank to determine, hey, is my timing off? And it was drifting a little bit. Now, he was all even more pissed off, saying, well, I bought a timing belt last year. He's like, and you guys installed it. So you guys messed up the timing. So I look at the history and I looked at the job and I says, yeah. And it says right here that you declined a tensioner and all the pulley components that go with it. You said you only wanted a belt because everything else was fine. I was like, looks like your tensioner's going out, bro. So it's putting slack in your belt, and that's what's causing the drift. The moral of the story here is if you're talking to somebody who's a specialist and they're talking common sense, don't use your X many of years of experience to try and prove them wrong. Just shut up and listen, and maybe you'll learn something. Because honestly, we were willing to do something for that guy, but because he was so arrogant and just wanted to bolster about his experience and how much better he is, but he couldn't do this job by himself, we just let him hang himself. And shops will do that to you. Okay. All right. So that story aside, let's move along. You see these little two golden links right here. You click on those, and that's going to take you to your area in the PDF document. So those are hyperlinks. All right, so we're back to DTC. Let's go ahead and put in a P0420. We all love the P0420 code, right? What happens when you get a P0420? You get a cat, you get a front O2 and a rear O2, right? Hell no, guys. Diagnose that son of a bitch. Okay? Check out my channel. I got at least 8 videos now where I'm diagnosing cars with P0420s, and it's got a lazy O2, or it's got an exhaust leak, a broken weld, exhaust gaskets are broken. It's not always the most expensive part. And why do people keep recommending the cat in the front and the rear O2 and all the gaskets that go with it? Because you're bound to get it, right? And customers have somehow been trained that as soon as that death code populates, they're just like already being like, here's a credit card and split it on this other credit card. And I'm going to go live out of the swear jar for like the next 2 months while I pay off this bill. No. If you got a P0420 code on your car, ask for a P0420 test. If they don't know what that test is, get out of that shop. Straight up. You're losing your money. Get out of the shop. You need to ask for a P0420 test. It's not a hard test to do. I should actually put together a training on how you can do it, but it takes all of 20 minutes in a test drive if you're pretty familiar with it, maybe 40 minutes if you got to read the instructions. Not that hard. To do a P0420 test, at a bare minimum, you're going to need a capable scan tool that can read global OBD2 codes, and you just want to be looking at your front and rear O2 sensor, and you want to see how they react. That's it. Now, if you got a 5 gas to go with it, great. And I should have a 5 gas in the shop next week. So, yeah, I will do a P0420 test video. I'll teach you guys how to do that. All right, so here we are. We got our 3 different types of engines. Every engine is going to populate a detecting criteria and diagnostic trouble codes for each engine. That's it. Boom, 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 and boom. You guys get the point, and there's your hyperlink. You click on the hyperlink. So let's jump on in. Our purple screen of death has updated. We're in the control system. The file path has changed, so it shows us where we are at. Pay attention to what engine that you are in. All right, we're in the H4SO. It's very easy to accidentally click on the wrong engine and you'll get wrong instructions. Each engine has different detecting criteria and different reactions of those oxygen sensors, so don't take it for granted. You get a cool little graphic down here, and this is, I would just want to point out how low res any graphic that gets pulled from the PDF document is going to look on the website. So if you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on here, well, you can go to that spot in the PDF and you can get a nice clear graphic right there. And I'll be damned, there was some letters and some numbers and some information to go along with it. And guys, right there, this is a really crude drawing of what you're trying to look at with your uh, scan tool. Okay. When you're looking at global codes, this is what you're looking at with your scan tool. We got your front O2, your rear O2. Okay. And I'm using front and rear generically, even though this says right here it's an AF sensor. Okay. Because not every manufacturer engine setup is actually using an AFR sensor for the front O2. Chevrolet has a few vehicles where they're using just 2 generic narrow band oxygen sensors to monitor the catalytic because the computer's doing a bunch of complicated math in the background. I think that's pretty cool that they can do that because a narrow band O2 sensor is dang, what, like $50? That's badass. To get a wideband AFR sensor, then bitches are like $300. And I tell you what, Subarus chew them up. They really, really do. If you got a Subaru, and it's 10 years old and has 100,000 miles on it, and you haven't replaced that sensor, plan on replacing it very soon. I pretty much just pulled the pin out of the grenade, and you're just holding on to it like, oh my God, don't drop this. I don't know why our cars will just plow through an AF sensor every 100,000 miles. I got customers that will prove it. Okay. They're on 300,000-mile engines and they be like, yep, every 100, I put a new one in. It just happens. But the rear O2, still a factory. Weird. I don't understand why. It's a good sensor. It's a Bosch. But yeah, this is a really crude drawing though. If you're looking at your oxygen sensors trying to do a P0420 test, and hopefully the scan tool that you're using has the ability to graph this information out because you're not going to be able to see it with numbers. It's going to be switching too fast. You got to graph it so you can see it, but it's switching up and down, and you got poop coming out. No, not good. Switching up and down, coming out. That's kind of what you want to see. All right. And what are a couple of other things too to be looking at? If you do a snap throttle, okay. If you do a snap throttle and the rear O2 is reacting before the front O2 and the change and the enrichment of the gas, well, then you got a lazy front O2 sensor. That'll cause a P0420, most definitely. So look at that. And that's usually where the AFR sensors start failing. So they just get slow. Um, they fail because we put them so close to the engine. We want them as close as we can to the engine so it can make faster corrections to fuel trims, and it just gets cooked alive. That's my thought process on it. Now, if you are looking at your signals and you're like, "Hey, it's switching here and it's switching here," it's good. Well, no, it's not good yet. Look at the timing on uh your scan tool because if they're moving at the same time, that means your cat's doing nothing. Now you need a catalytic. Okay. This should be delayed just a little bit, like just a little bit. The index. This is a pretty fast one to breeze through. Hey, it looks just like the wiring diagram index, and it behaves the same as the wiring diagram index. You get your fancy little letters. We got more letters to populate. This is if you're looking for a specific system and you just don't know what category it's in. You could start hunting through here. Pick a category by the letter. Control F is your best friend too. You're going to get a new emblem here. So if you're scrolling all the way through this stuff, you can scroll right back up to the top. That's all it is. So you can see my J and my T is getting cut off, and that's just because I'm zoomed in with my browser and I got to scroll it over. We're going to go ahead. We're going to jump into the thermostat removal. There it is. It automatically moves us over. We're into the cooling system. And oops, we're in the cooling system for a H4 DOTC. I wanted to do a single overhead cam. So very, very easy to get that wrong. Make sure you pay attention or you are going to get lost looking for hoses to disconnect that don't even exist. All right. So there it is. See, it's so easy. You go, oh, thermostat. Duh, click on removal. Nope. Read your engine. All right, let's jump into our drop down menu tab right here. There's some very cool information. We're going to click on general. And yep, information updates. Let's dig into it. Was I supposed to? This is an interactive one. Okay, Ford. Yep, you get your basic Ford. I've never seen a Ford have anything good in it, except maybe a shout out to somebody. How to use the manual. Folks, I always encourage you to skim through this information. They're usually pretty short, but what they just want to do is they want to point out all the little symbols that they like to use, okay? Didn't mean to do that. How to use this manual. No. There it goes. Yeehaw. All right. So you got one with a toothpaste tube, and the toothpaste is coming out. Okay. The sealing points. Okay. Lubricate with oil points and lubricate with grease points. Okay. These T1s and T2s and so on and so forth, those are torque. So if you look at the bottom of the diagram that's being cut off, there's actually a little dialog box down there, and it'll tell you the torque. If that torque requires a torque sequence, like this T5 right here, those are cylinder head bolts. It's going to say torque sequence, and it's going to give you a highlight, or I'm sorry, it's going to give you a hyperlink to the torquing sequence. So when you're in a category of a vehicle, there will always be a general tab. So if you're in the engine, you click on general, you're going to get a blown out diagram like this, and you'll be able to quickly see what the torque spec is for everything. It's pretty sweet. It's one of my favorite things that I always go to. Keep breaking my slide. Specifications. It is what it is. You're going to get specs, dimensions on fluid capacities, ignition firing orders, okay? Horsepowers, Hirschbergs. You can see it's all columnized for the different engine that you have, bore strokes, so on and so forth for everything that you would want. Caution's very important to look at. A lot of people don't understand what this NG stands for. They go like, Why do these things say NG?" They're like, "It stands for no go," and then okay. So they're kind of telling you, hey, don't be using pokey little bits on their hoses. And if you put the hoses on, make sure the clamp gets between the barbs. Otherwise, it won't seal correctly. They want you to use this Lyle hose spreader. That's your favorite tool right there. Identification. This is really, really cool information. The identification. And what this is pointing out here is where you can find the VIN on all the door jams. Over here in this engine graphic, it's pointing out the engine type and the engine serial number. So here, transmission, same thing, transmission model, serial number. This would be really good information if you're in the car flipping business. Okay. If you want to flip cars, you're buying cars at auction. Maybe you need to get a used engine so you can sell it. So you call your used engine guy. He's like, "Yeah, I got a 4-cylinder boxer." Well, hang on a sec before you ship it to me. I want you to go look right here on that engine block and read that code to me. So I know that that engine goes in this year vehicle. It's really common for people who start buying cars that don't run and they're like, I'm just going to get a junkyard swap and put an engine in it and make a quick flip. You're going to lose a lot. And there's a lot of videos out there of people who do YouTube diagnosing vehicles, and they know what they're walking into when they go like, "Hey, I'm here at Billy Bob's pick and pull and he's trying to flip cars and this thing don't work. Let's try and figure it out." And you'd be like, "Well, he put an engine in, and yeah, it's the correct style of engine that should go in there, but it's 1 year off. Oops, the computer doesn't like that engine." Or another one that we had, oh gosh, was it so? This was when I worked at Ford, and we had a customer who brought in a Taurus. It was a Ford Taurus, and they were saying that they blew the engine and they paid to have a used engine put in, but ever since the used engine was put in, the shop couldn't figure out why it has a drivability issue, and there was no codes. All right, so I was still learning at the time, but I paid attention a lot, and what those Singer Master Techs figured out really, really quick was they put a engine that was not flex fuel rated into a flex fuel vehicle. Because At that 1 year, that's when the transition was starting to flex fuel for that platform, but it was still a V6. No, it bolted up, all the connectors went there, but unfortunately, it didn't have a flex fuel monitor built into it, so it was just left unplugged, I guess. How that didn't throw a code, I don't know, but they just told that person they put the wrong engine in, send it back. Recommend materials. This is pretty cool. So if you're ever wondering, like, hey, what type of gasket maker I should use? Oh, I can't find that gasket maker. What else can I use? Well, this is where you can find all your greases and your oils and alternatives. The pre-delivery inspection. Well, what's good here? Well, this is great information if you are going to be a consumer of buying a used Subaru. Or maybe, again, you're going to be in the Subaru flipping business. You want to flip a Subaru. Buy your 3-day pass and access the pre delivery inspection. It's going to have the 90 steps. Well, I shouldn't say it's 90 steps, but it's going to be pointing out every place where you should be checking fluid level, every place you need to ensure a function or a bell or a whistle on that vehicle needs to be working correctly. So I pointed out a few of them: engine oil, dipstick, clutch fluid, SRS indicators, and how to make them come on without a scan tool. It's a really quick 3-page list of how to do a down and dirty inspection. So you're like, hey, my man, I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I got my seatbelt clicked and it still has an airbag light on. Yeah, I don't think this car should cost $9,000. Maybe I need to get it fixed because you're not going to get a state inspection if you got an airbag light on. So that's pretty cool, especially if you get a barn find. You want to talk somebody down, jump to that. Periodic maintenance services. Let's finish up on this one. This is cool. So you got the car, you got the Subaru in the shop, or maybe you're a DIYer and you want to know exactly, like, what do I need to be doing to my car in order to maintain it? Well, we gave you a quick rundown right here. There you go. And I just took a little snippet right there. Timing belt, spark plugs, they're all right there, and they're nicely populated to where you can find them easily. You got replacement, you got inspections and replacement. Pretty cool. Mechanism and function. What is this? Well, the mechanism and function PDF manual. Let me check chat before we do that. And what's our time? Hey, we're coming up on 9 o'clock. Yeah, let's go ahead and take our break right now. Doo, doo, doo. And let's get into our giveaway. All right. I'm gonna be up. I'm gonna be going through the chat, be looking to see who is a member and who's in the chat, and I'm gonna be adding names to the wheel. So if you are just hanging out in the background and you haven't said anything in chat, I'm not gonna know you're here. So all I gotta do is type in hello. That's it. So I see Quick Wrench is here and he's got green. And we got Saw, Sergio, Learning with Juan, got Garage Monkey in here. Canadian Diesel. Got a pretty good crowd. JT's not a member. You don't get to play. All right, that's all the green on the board. We got 7 people watching. That's a really good turnout. That's a really good turnout. I like that. Let's find out what we want to do for the giveaway today. Yeah, we've already done picks and pry bars. Mini pry bars are popular, but everyone needs a nice soft grip screwdriver set. Unless you want hard grip, we can switch it to hard grip. I'll let the winner decide. You get your choice of black oxide or chrome. And these are made in the United States. Fantastic. Soft grips are oil and grease resistant, and I have tested these. I've actually left one of their screwdrivers in a quart of ATF. One of my coworkers nicknamed these grips the alien grips just because he says they look like an alien head. They're actually really comfortable. As goofy as they are, they fit in your hand very nicely. But if you're not a soft-handled person, you're not a soft guy like me, we can switch it up to hard handles. So, dealer's choice. Their hard handles, they are very, very firm. That it's not soft plastic. Uh, I kind of determine like how hard a plastic is by like smacking it on a piece of metal or a corner of the workbench. It doesn't leave a dent. Like if you were to bite on it, it doesn't leave a tooth mark. So if your dog got a hold of it, it's not going to go to shreds. Really good handle there. And again, you don't get a choice of black oxide. All right, so enough promotion of Tecton. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Spin the wheel. Uh Juan, didn't you win something last week? I think you were the winner last week, weren't you? You can't win 2 weeks in a row. That's not fair. I did the same thing to Sergio. Oh, okay. Sergio's up then. Hey, that's 2 wins. That's 2 wins in 2 months. Not bad, Sergio. Hit me up again and let me know if you want the hard handles or or the soft grip handles. And if you get the soft grips, then you get your choice of chrome shanks or black shanks. Okay, so you know the drill. Hit me up on my email, and I'll get those things sent out to you this week, and they'll come straight from Tecton themselves, so you'll get it in less than a week. Keep showing up every Saturday. We got a small group that shows up, so there's good chances that you will win more than once until we get a bigger crowd. I hope we get a bigger crowd so we can spread it out a little bit. So get the comment off the board. Thank you, Sergio. Yes, congrats all around. All right, so we got the right screen up, got the right screen up. I need another monitor. Okay, mechanism and function. This is a really cool manual. And if you are a Gee Whiz Subaru person and you're like, man, I want to know all this crazy stuff that Joe knows, guys, this is where I get it. You're not going to find this kooky stuff in the regular service manual. What you're going to do is we're going to go back out to the Subaru website. Okay. So we're not in that purple shop manual anymore. We're in the publication page. We're going to click on shop manual. We're going to plug in the car that we want. And instead of going to service manual, we're going to select this mechanism and function. Mechanism and function has all the categories of for blah blah blah. Mechanism and function is going to start out with categories like your fuel injection, emissions, intake, mechanical, exhaust, cooling, so on and so forth. All right. And remember, if you are viewing this in an internet browser and you don't see the table of contents on the side, you're just going to have to use Control F and type in quick reference index to get to the different categories. Okay. So here's our categories I'm just showing off. Yep. Yep. A lot of them to show off. All right. So now I got it open up in a reader and we can see all the categories. We see we got the three engine types. We see we got manual transmissions and automatic transmissions, chassis, body, and electrical. Let's get to some examples and see why we want to get into this. So let's talk about the fuel injection. What can be in the fuel injection that's so important to know? Well, right here, they start talking about exactly how their fuel injection system wants to work. It's a multi point fuel injection system. MFI system supplies optimum air fuel mixture under every engine operating condition through the use of the latest electric, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The engine control module, ECM, that controls the fuel injection system, corrects the fuel injection amount depending on the vehicle speed, throttle opening, coolant temperature, and other vehicle operation related items. And they'll talk more about that. So now they're going to get into the condition setup. Under this category of fuel injection, they're going to have a section where they're talking about their MAF sensor, how the air flows through the MAF sensor, the components of the MAF sensor, how it measures, the air fuel ratio feedback system that they have set up with the ECM and how it's monitored. They got pages on that. So like these are engineering notes that are written in shorthand for people like us that are not engineers. So I reflect on these mechanism function manuals when I'm trying to understand how a system functions in my vehicle without jumping to the Facebook groups and listening to some know it all thread boy who may not know it all. Okay. I'm going to get it right from the horse's mouth. Emissions control. All right. How many people here have tried to diagnose an EVAP code and you're reading the service manual and all it says is check your, like, perform basic EVAP checks. And you're like, well, damn it. All I want to know is where what hose goes where. Why don't you give me a picture? Well, the picture is in the mechanism and function. Here's all the hose routing. Okay. Here's all the labeling. Got your gas tank, your filling rack, and look how many hoses hook up to your gas tank. We got switching valves, your charcoal canister, purge, intake manifold. All really very good information. So every time I'm dealing with an EVAP problem, I'm pulling up this picture out of mechanism and function. All right. What's happening with the gases as you're refueling? So if you got a car that has a problem filling up with gasoline, okay, that's a really common problem. Customers come in and they say, "Hey, my car is on empty and I'm trying to put gas in it, but the pump trigger keeps clicking off." Well, it's clicking off because as you're applying the liquid gas into your fuel tank, the gases, uh, as the liquid gas goes in, starts to vaporize. That vapor has to go somewhere and it's not evacuating out on the gas tank fast enough through its evacuation system. So the fuel pump handle, which dispenses fuel into your gas tank, it measures the feedback from the filler neck and it goes, "Oh, car's getting full, turn off," and it clicks off. Hmm. I had one of those cars for like 4 years. Never understood how to fix it until I found this manual and I fixed it for like 30 bucks. Turns out I had a kinked hose. So for 4 years, I was that guy at the gas pump that was trying to like trickle in gas into the gas tank, and it took me about 20 minutes to fill up a 16-gallon tank. And it got to the point to where I was just driving around with I think it was like a 3-gallon gas tank in the back of my car. So I would fill up the 3-gallon gas tank and then pour the 3 gallons into the car and then fill up that 3 gallon. I just kept doing that. That was my solution until I figured out how to fix my car. Intake system, going over the plenum setup, what you need to know, mechanical, a lot of good information in here. If you want to understand how our variable valve lifter system works, how the oil control solenoid controls the oil path, you want to know the purpose of how our valves sit in the cylinder and how they need to be swirling air correctly. Very valid information. What was that other one? Oh yeah, yeah. So here we are. Yeah, the variable valveless system. You got a high lift and a low lift. And because of those two different types of lifting, where we can swirl the air in the chamber, which gives you a better uh, mixture of air and atomized fuel, how to read your pistons and identify the different types of pistons that are in there, cooling circuits, different phases of your thermostat opening up, how your coolant routes through the engine. All right. The generator. Okay. That's your alternator. How the generator is going to charge your battery in different stages, voltage regulation, transmission. This is a simplified diagram of the transmission. Basically, we're showing here that we have hardline inputs going into the TCM. We have hardline outputs coming out of the TCM, and you have one communication line where the TCM shares that information with the ECM. Good quick block. That's a good quick block diagram. And here's the whole picture of it going on right there. So all that information that goes into the TCM is then shared through a CAN bus. Oh, sorry. It's late for me too. 9:15. All right. So definitely, yeah, as it says right there, I could make a whole class just going through mechanism and function, but I just encourage you to go get a subscription and pull the mechanism and manual up for your vehicle and have fun reading it. You're going to learn a lot. And that's pretty much how I've gathered all this hidden knowledge about the Subaru is I'll go home and I'll just read one of those books, skim through it, get familiarized with it. All right. So now we're going to finish up, and this is going to go by really fast, okay? Because there's a version 2 of STIS. I'm not going to do it. It's just got a prettier skin on it, okay? It just functions better. It's prettier. Got a broken slide, huh? All right. Broken slide. Sorry. All right. So now we're in a 2010 Legacy. And you'll notice our screen is updated a lot. Everything is blue. It's not purple. We still got the kind of same foundation where we got headers going over. We got a row going over here. And we have a column over here on the left-hand side. Note that the little purple graphic here in the center, well, she's gone. All right. You're just going to have this point out right here that says 2010 Legacy. Up here at the top, that's where the 4 buttons went. That's where your callouts are. and our drop down dialog box is gone, and now they just splash everything across the top. We have these two tabs right here. If you click on them, they just make the screen larger so you can view it. The screen does adapt a lot better with zoom now. Okay. So here I'm at 100% zoom, and here we are at 200% zoom. So the word wrapping capability and the auto scaling is significantly better on this. So if you're a blind guy like me, critical information isn't going to get clipped off. The top button still functions the same. It's going to take you back to the main splash, and it'll say 2010 Legacy or whatever car that you opened up. Okay. Index looks the same, right? Not going to beat it up. Okay. Notice that we don't have any clipping off of letters anymore. That's really cool. We go to DTC. This looks very familiar, just much more cleaned up. I already ran an example of it. It works the same way. I don't think I had anything there. Nope. I don't have anything for you. Wiring diagram, again, looks the same. It functions the same because it is the same. Print. This is a new button. Okay. Why did it go there? It should not have gone there. Yeah, it should have gone here. Broken slide. I'll fix it. All right. So we're going to hypothetically say that we have to do a valve clearance adjustment. All right. So we're in the engine section. We're in a 4-cylinder single overhead cam, and we clicked on the adjustment procedure. Well, this is a pretty long, lengthy page. Maybe you don't got a laptop that you can just keep scrolling through. You're like, I want to print it out. Okay, not a problem. Go ahead and print it out. It's going to tell you, hey, do you want to print out the subsection, or the chapter? Let's see what subsection looks like. Well, there's your whole procedure, all printed very nicely right there. If we click on chapter, guess what you're getting? You're going to get the whole engine chapter, and you're going to get it in a nice, pretty PDF, high resolution content. Search is a new thing. Okay, don't confuse search and index. Search is kind of a tricky one to explain. Damn broken slide. Okay. Search can be a little bit tricky to kind of distinguish between the index and what it really is. But with search, you could type in a keyword, and that it's going to do a keyword search on every graphic, on every procedure, every header, and it's going to lay and at every diagnostic step too. All right. So it's going to search everything like a normal control F would do. But what I really like about it is it's actually going to be telling you, hey, like that is it's got the wrong steps here. So this is search. God damn it. My slides are broken. Sorry, guys. This is a horrible taping, but I'll fix everything. All right. So this is search. And here's all the categories of where search is going to be looking at. All right. So you can check these boxes off however you want. Let's say I was trying to find something for a drive cycle. All right. I have to do I cleared all the codes. for an emissions concern, and I got to do a drive cycle on the car now to make sure that the check engine light comes back. This is a very important procedure to do if you're repairing cars for emissions related systems, because you won't populate a check engine light right away until the monitors are set. So by setting your readiness monitors, you're doing what's called a drive cycle. And here's how it's going to populate. It's going to give you symbols saying, hey, we found this text, and we found this text in the diagnostic area where you were looking at. We got procedures and operations, so on and so forth. If I had all these other systems checked, I would get a lot more things populating. That's why I only said search in the diagnostic category of the manual. So I'm going to go to a drive cycle procedure here. Uh, Note the location of where you are at. Okay. We are in diagnostics now. So there's your header right there. Here's your file path right here. We are under engine diagnostics for an H4 single overhead cam. We're in drive cycle. It pulled up the procedure. And look at that. It's like I replaced a catalytic. I want to make sure that I diagnose the car right. I put it in, and it's telling me what my drive cycle procedure is: 20 minutes at a consistent speed of 50 miles an hour. That was a big headache. Last one, the help button. God damn it. You click on that, you're going to get a PDF document, and it's going to teach you how to read this manual, but you could just watch my live stream again and recording, or you could reference this. I'm losing my voice. All right, general description. Let's bring that up. Hey, that looks like a lot like version 1, and it is. Everything I explained in version 1 is this. It's just in blue. So don't want to beat a dead horse there. Let's dive in the engine and get an example of what it's like to kind of go through these categories. So when you click on engine, you're going to get all your subcategories populating here. Again, I can't stress enough. Note the styles of engines are in parentheses. So you want to be selecting the correct one. I'm going to go ahead and go to mechanical. And it's going to open up another subsection. And you'll see that I'm expanding these off to the side, but that's not how you're going to be able to view it. It's actually going to open up. So it's going to push all this information down where my mouse cursor's at. Let's see if I fight the pin. So if I click here, all this stuff right here on down, it's going to get pushed down. And this box right here is going to populate in this column. So this column will just keep getting longer and longer and longer. If you click on mechanical again, the box collapses. Let's just go erase all. And I don't want that anymore. So we're in mechanical and we're ahead, and we're going to dive into our engine here. Yep, engine mechanical. Let's go to general description and component. This is one of my favorite viewing screens right here when I just need to find out a really quick torque value. So I can see an exploded diagram of the system, and all these T's right here, those are torques, and the torques will be labeled underneath. Those are other examples right there. And this is what it kind of looks like. See, it says T1, T2, T3, T4. And T10, it says, well, that has a torque sequence. So it says you need to go here, and that's a hyperlink to go there on how to install that. So T10 was actually the bolt for the cylinder head. Got a broken slide. All right, so let's do it again. General description. And this is not supposed to be here just yet. We're going to go to preparation tool. Imagine that says preparation tool. And then that graphic pops up. Okay. So it's going to be showing you special tools that you might need when working on this engine with little pictures of what they look like. And those special tools will have part numbers that coincide with them so you can find them. Wiring system. Okay, we're going to jump into one of the categories that always gets overlooked. Let's go to basic diagnostic procedure. Why do I need to read this? I know how to do electrical. Yeah, well, do you know how to read this diagram? Come on, guys. There's great information in here. It's only 3 pages long, but it's going to be identifying how they label their pin setup here. So if you see an outline of a plug and it's double framed as they're calling it, well, that's the male side. A single frame, that's the female side of the plug, which is really, really important to know when you're looking at the wiring diagram, because at the bottom of every wiring diagram, when you see the plugs, it shows you the plug pinup. They'll have a single frame or a double frame to indicate what side of the plug you're looking at. And you could go down some rabbit holes if you don't pay attention to that. All right, so they're showing you how the pin layout is mirrored right here. Single frame female. So it reads left to right, 1, 2, 3. Well, the male side is mirrored. Color codes. L is for blue. B is for black. LG is light green. And don't get me started on Chevrolet with their 3 different variations of purple. Okay, we're pointing out shielded wiring right here. This is what a shielded wire will look like. Different types of grounds on your schematic. You got a direct ground and an indirect ground. How grounds will be labeled: body ground, engine ground, VDC ground, radio ground. Okay, headers for your harnesses. All right. So if your plug starts with an F, it's on the front wiring harness. B for bulkhead, E for engine. So if a piece of instruction says, hey, look at connector T3, that's part of the transmission cord. Look at connector E25, it's part of the engine harness, so on and so forth. Okay, the zigzags here on the wire means it's a twisted wire. Really important to know, guys. Never undo twisted pair wires. Never undo twisted pair wires, and repair twisted pair wires with extreme caution. I kind of have my own procedure where if rodents get into an engine harness and they chew up the twisted wires, I do not offer a repair because that car will have potential problems. It's a 50-50 because if I repair it and if I get the twist right, the car won't have problems. If I get the twist wrong, I'll have problems. And the reason why that's a gamble, folks, is because the twist, you have to have so many twists for every so many inches. So if you twist it too tight, you could change the signal. If you twist it too loose, you could introduce new signals. The twist is there to cancel out crosstalk on the communication line and protect the integrity of the line. So a lot of shops that do electrical repair, they'll just say flat out, "Yo, the twisted lines got cut. We don't repair them. You need a whole new harness," and that sucks. That sucks really, really bad. One I did try and help out one person, and that car came back like 3 times a year. And eventually we just said, you need an engine harness. Okay. It was on a Jeep Compass, and it had a what was that car? There's a lot of things that car was known for having problems with. Throttle body, okay? It had a throttle it kept losing its learned values on the throttle plate, so it didn't know where high and low was at. So it kept throwing a code for the throttle open angle. And every time it came in, one of the techs would be like, "Okay, we're just going to do a throttle relearn. Hey, the car's good." 100 miles later, "Hey, the car's bad." So when it finally came to me and I was looking at it, I said, "Well, there's some funny business going here." And I said, "It looked like somebody put a pigtail on here and they repaired it incorrectly because there's some twisted lines and they got the." I says there was twisted lines on the engine harness, but when they did their plug repair, they didn't twist the two wires going to the throttle body. So I told him, I said, "Well, let me try and just undo his solder, retwist it, and then put it back on and see what happens." Well, she got a few months out of it, but eventually it threw another problem. Uh, One person was insisted that it was a throttle body problem, and that kind of led us to a fun thing. So they ordered a throttle body, which didn't exist. So they got an aftermarket one. The aftermarket throttle body showed up and it didn't fit. It didn't fit the harness. And we're like, why the hell doesn't it fit the harness? That's odd. So we go to the O'Reilly's and we tell them, like, you gave us the wrong one. They send another one. Same damn thing. Couldn't figure it out until I actually got the electrical diagram from Chrysler and I'm looking at it and I go, no, they sent us the right throttle body. Well, that's got the wrong plug on it because somebody graveyard a throttle body out of a different Chrysler for a Jeep, and they bought a pigtail to make it fit on this car. And the reason why they did that is because Chrysler discontinued that throttle body for that variant of Jeep because they're jerks. So we ordered the correct pigtail for that car. Then we got the aftermarket throttle body to work. The car was good for a year, but then it came back, and then we just said, "Okay, you need an engine harness." And then we never saw the customer again. So yeah, don't mess with twisted wires. It's a headache. All right, symbols. This means two wires are together. This means two wires are crossing and they don't touch each other on the schematic. Let's check out a wiring diagrams. Go to power supply circuit. This is one to get familiar with. So if you go to power supply circuit, it's going to be showing you your relays and your fuses. And that's really nice. Ford, talking to you, Ford. You see how we like to label our fuses and tell you what the frick they are? That's kind of nice. You know, we figured that out real early that that was a nice thing to do instead of putting it in the owner's manual, which doesn't exist in the car. All right, so that's my Ford rant. Be aware that after a few years, we moved the relay and fuse diagram to its own category under the wiring diagram. Okay. So if you go into power supply and you don't see these right up at the top of the wiring system, then that means that you need to go back out to here on the left column and you're going to see an item that says relays and fuse. That's all. So we're looking at a pull up diagram here for the power supply circuit. And I want to point out a couple of things. Give me my pen. Right here, it says MB, okay, for main box. Main box is inside your cabin. And I'm tracing over this line right here. Eh, do it so nice. Right there. Okay. So basically, the MB, everything from on over, you're looking in this power supply diagram. All these fuses are in the main box and the engine. Eventually, This is going to cap off. It's going to have a cap off and it's going to start another box and it's going to be called FB. That's your cabin fuse box. And it's going to run the same way. It's very important to know. Another thing that's really important to know is that MB components, MB fuses, they're hot at all times. FB only get power supplied when the ignition switch is on. Gee whiz information. What's down here? Let's look at that. And let me get rid of all those erase marks because they suck. Turn my pen off. So let's follow the power flow with a pen that I just turned off. I decided I want it. We got our battery. Angry pixies are coming down. They go through the Megatron fuse, aka Mega Fuse. And we're going to follow them through this slow blow fuse. It's coming down. No, I want to hit this line. We're coming down this other slow blow fuse. Yeah. And it hits this identifier box called MB1. Well, what's MB1? Let's zoom into that and bring it up so we can talk about it. MB1 is a component of systems. Okay. And that also corresponds with MB2, MB3, MB4, so on and so forth. You're going to see the same thing with when you get into the FB fuse panel. You'll see FB1, FB2, FB3, so on and so forth. So if you want to know, like, hey, I like what is slow blow fuse 4 running into because it goes into MB1, you go to the bottom of your wiring diagram and it says that feeds the VDC control module. And MB2 feeds the VDC control module. MB3 feeds the audio navigation unit, audio amplifier, which is a Macintosh. I think they got the Macintosh made a comeback. They're in the Grand Wagoneers now. All right, MB4 blower motor relay, so on and so forth, guys. This is a really, really powerful diagram to reference when you're just trying to find out where the power is going in the vehicle. And it's very simple to follow and use. All right, as I was talking about earlier, okay, we started on page 3 of our wiring diagram. I pointed out the MB icon and it made a box. And now here we go. We're on page 6. There's the FB. It started its own box. Over here, all the power is running into categories called MB1, MB2, MB3, MB4, and so on. When they're in the FB system, FB1, FB2, FB3, and so on and so forth. Good information to know. Okay. Again, on every wiring system page, Subaru's going to put the plugs. If there was a plug that is referenced on that page, they put an outline of what that plug is. And note, those plugs are all single frame plugs. All right, let's back out to basic wiring diagram. What are we looking at now? Bulkhead harness. All right, so you found a connector. It's on the bulkhead harness. Where is it at? Let's bring it up. So here is your overlay of the bulkhead. This is our very crude design. It does get better. Believe me, it gets better. So we're looking for connector B8. There's connector B8. How do you find connector B8? Well, you identify it here by the number. And then you go over here, it says area, and you play battleship rules. And you go B5, and you find it just like that. Now it's a PDF document. So yes, you could use Control F and you could type in B5 or B8. We're looking for B8 so bad. You could type in B8 and it'll highlight B8. So again, Control F is your friend here. Also note in these columns, it'll tell you how many pins are on that connector or poles. the type of connector that it is, it's light gray, and if there is a description, it'll give you a description. Broken slide. Here we go. Engine diagnostics. So now we're in the diagnostics section of STIS. We're going to go into the engine system to highlight the input output chart. Powerful information here. Here's our ECM. Here's our ECM control panel pins. And here's what every pin is doing for the signals. Great information there. If it has a waveform, it'll put in the notes waveform. And if it wants you to reference a specific waveform, it'll say waveform 1, waveform 2. Pay attention to the columns, okay? Ignition switch on, engine off, engine on, engine idling. When they say engine idling, that's with the engine warmed up, okay? Because if you have a cold engine and you turn it on and it starts idling, that cold engine goes into what's called a warm up mode and it increases your RPM. When your RPM goes up, the generator's working more. So the generator's going to change your voltages a little bit more. There, you want the engine warmed up, you want it at idle, and you want as many electrical loads off on the vehicle. So turn the headlamps off, turn the blower motor off, and then you'll get these readings, okay? Here's examples of waveforms. You want a known good crank signal, you want a known good cam symbol, and you want to have them all lined up so you can check for cam crank correlation. There you go. They're going to tell you what your scope setup is going to be here down in the corner where it got clipped off. Okay, this is 5 volts per division going vertical, 10 milliseconds per division going left and right. They're going to give you good information. If you scroll down more on this input output chart, they're going to actually give you identifications if this is a pull up or a pull down circuit. LAN systems. If you click on LANs, it's going to have a master control module input output chart list. So all your systems are listed there with hyperlinks so you can jump around. Jump around. Let's go back in LAN systems. CAN communication check mode. Let's click on inspection. What do we get? Well, we get a simplified block diagram of our CAN bus system here. Very good information to have available. It's got a good blah blah blah. What do we call these things? It's got a good cheat sheet right here. I was trying to relate to like a map. A map always has like a key. Here's your key right here. So we have a resistor that's bold here and here. When you learn about CAN communications, we call these terminating resistors, okay? Because the way vehicle networks are set up, they're set up on a bus network. That's the topology. All right. We're talking some network slang here. If you haven't heard about it, you can have different types of topologies, which is network configuration. I'll get my crayon going on here. You could have a ring. That is a topology. Okay. You could have a star style network. That's another topology. And then you have a straight line with systems that can connect into it here and there. So you have a start point and a finish point. We call this a bus. It's all in one line. If you get a break in there, the bus can't go anywhere. So we use terminating resistors on the bus network to communicate to the other modules where the start and the stop is at. They serve other purposes, but that's the basic gist of it. Okay, data link connector, pointing it out right here. Guys, this is a 2010 Legacy Outback. It doesn't have a gateway in it. All right. So that means without a gateway, we can get our CAN bus signals straight from the data link connector. When you start working on later model Subarus, I think we got gateways introduced in 2019. Yeah, I know they were on the Ascent in 2019, and they might have made their way into the Outback in 2015. So if you got a gateway on your network, you're not gonna get CAN bus signals on your 6 and 14 pin on the data link connector anymore. Not unless you know some sneaky squirrel logic. If you plug a breakout box in there and you hook up your scope, you're just going to read 5 volts and you're not going to see any packets whatsoever. You're going to have to go find another module and piggyback into that connector to read the packets. That's what I know so far. I've heard of other manufacturers being nice, and I think it was Chrysler, where you can use a dealer scan tool and you can tell the gateway that you want signals opened up to the data link connector, and then it'll allow you to see data packets. But without that feature, the data link connector is closed off. It's a security thing, I guess. Broken screen. Damn it. You're not supposed to see this picture yet. Okay. So now we're going to jump ahead and we're going to go to a newer vehicle here. This is a 2024 Legacy. And we have two new tabs that are here. One called RH and one called New Car Info. RH, there's your graphic. We now have pigtails. Yay! It only took 20 fucking years to be like the rest of the industry, but now you can get connectors. Yay! New Car Info. Okay. What is New Car Info? New Car Info is a relabeled mechanism to function. That's exactly what it is. But here's the clincher. Um, if you want to read New Car Info for 2024, it's not it's it's only going to give you the supplements that were added from 2023, that were added from 2022 to 21 and 2020. That is confusing as hell to say. What does that mean? All right. The Legacy Outback got a big reboot and a big facelift in 2020. That was the start of it right there. 2020. You're going to get the beef of the information there. Then every year revision, when new things were done, they just made a supplement packet. And then 2022, they made a supplement packet, and so on and so forth. So if you pull up a 2024 new car information, it's probably going to be 6 or 8 pages. You're going to want to go back to the main 2020 to grab all the big beefy stuff about the engine, the fuel injection system, the evap system, the suspension system, and so on and so forth. Let's go on our wiring systems again. We're going to bring up an example of our active grill shutter here and give you the final big awesomeness that we updated. If you hover your mouse over a connector now, you can click on it and it's going to give you a pop-up and it's going to show you where that connector is at. We now have interactive diagrams, very much like the Oasis system for Ford Motorcraft. So I know Ford was already had this system running in place since 2014, maybe before. But we finally caught up with the rest of the world to where If you're working on a late model vehicle like 2020 and up, hover your mouse over some things and you'll see the cursor change to the little symbol like this. You can click on it and you can get more relevant information. You can get notes. Sometimes you can click on a module and it'll give you a note about that module or that fuse. So in this one, I think if you click on the fuse, it'll show you other things that MB Fuse 31 will feed. And that's it. We're done, folks. You made it. You made it to the very end. And we got through it in time, too. Less than 2 hours. Let's catch up in chat. Man, Diesel's been running his mouth. Ooh. All right. Where are we at? Okay. All right. Fine. So Sergio's going to send me an email. Which 8 scope do I have again? I have the 4-channel one for automotive use. It's about $200 on Amazon. Chrysler sucks to own great for a tech. Yep. Oh, you got distracted by monkeys. Well, you missed it. I have a lot of broken slides, but I powered through it, so I'll make all those corrections. There it is. You got the Handtech 1008B. Okay, that's the 8-channel 12-bit one. It's actually really good, and you want to run it on what software? Let's go to my guy's channel. Not now. Guys, check out my guy's channel here, martinlauren.com. He's got fantastic deals on a 12-bit scope. It samples at 25 million samples a second, 95 bucks. Then you're going to go to the Google Play Store on your Android tablets and you're going to download a piece of software called H-Scope. Stupid powerful tool. Now, if you've already purchased the Handtech scope, okay, like Canadian Diesel did, you can use the Handtech scope on his software H scope. You'll just have to pay an unlock fee. That's it. So I have a 4-channel H scope that does 1 gajillion samples a second on one channel, but every time I add a channel, it cuts into the capture rate, but not that bad. I think with 4 channels active, it drops down to 500 megs a second or 500 million samples a second. That's still really stupid good, but in order to make it compatible with his app, it cost me $30, so not bad. And I don't mind giving this guy money because if you email him with any kind of questions, you're talking straight to him. Like he's a one-man army and he's stupid smart. He's got a YouTube channel. He'll walk you through everything. Not gateway. Does it have a window at least? Piggyback right off the ECU. Yep. I'll piggyback off the ECU or whatever module I see first that is on the main bus. That's key, guys. Don't go after one of those nodes just hanging off on the tree. If you got a back probe onto a CAN bus that has a gateway, make sure you're getting into a main module. I've gotten pigtails and connectors in the past for Subarus, have replaced. Many a couple harnesses also rats. Yeah, let me get to another main supporting website now that you brought that up. I think I got it wrong. That's the website right there. iWire USA. Boom. If you have an older Subaru and you need connectors, these are the guys to go to. They got the secret sauce recipe and they will sell you connectors. They will make you a new engine harness. So let's look at this Easy 30 6 cylinder right there. There's a bulkhead connector. There's a throttle body connector. Those are solenoid connectors. What's that 6 pin? That 6 pin one is the EGR. That single pin right here, this white one, that's power steering pump. The black one, I think that is for the starter solenoid. This white one right here, oil level switch, maybe a crank sensor, 3 wire. What's a 3 wire? Gosh, I should know that. What's the 3 wire plug? What the hell is 3 wires? The Hall effect sensor, yeah, but for what? I can't think about it. Uh, there's all the coil pack plugs on the back there too. Oh, that's gonna bother me. Is that mass airflow? Mass airflow. It's got to be mass airflow. But yeah, they'll sell you that, and you can choose the way you want them. You can get housings only, or you can get connectors with wires and pigtails on them. So check these guys out. I buy from them very, very often. And if you need any kind of custom engine harness setup because you're playing around with this JDM swap stuff, like I think the because the 10-year, 15-year weight is up on Japanese imports, we're having this plethora of engines coming in that are of a different version. They're coming out of right-hand drive vehicles, and people are trying to put these engines into left-hand drive vehicles, and the engine harnesses, they're flipped around. Okay, so you got to do some cutting up and rewiring. Well, they got the kits for you, so you don't have to mess around with that stuff. It's pretty cool. No, the H scope does not work with the Mac. Nope, it does not work with Mac OS. I am running a software suite called Parallel Desktops. Put it right here. And I can run Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 98. So right now I'm running Microsoft Windows right here on the Mac. It's just running an emulator, but I run my Picoscope software. I run the Hscope software and some other Windows software that I have to run. Oh yeah, like my Snap-on software. So I can take samples from my Snap-on scope and I could port them over here. Yep, that is I got a pile of alternator connectors. I'm not kidding you. I think I bought like 15 or 20 of them. And the guy was kind of like, "What?" And I was like, I work on Subarus for a living, and is like the number one destroyed connector is the alternator connector. Sadly, did not fix the problem though, which I think is capacitors failing on ECU. I didn't follow that conversation. I am running a 2-year-old MacBook Pro. I got the M2 processor variant of it. I went a little bit overboard with the specifications just so that I could do video editing and I could do uh, blah, 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 in-person instruction. I hope to get to a point to where I could solicit my instructorship to a garage and say, like, if you want me to come in and teach you an HVAC class, I can do a 2 hour PowerPoint by death, hopefully entertaining, and then do like 2 to 3 hours hands-on training and get your team familiarized. Uh, it's something that I'm hoping more shops will understand that it is worth the investment to retrain or at least have your techs revisit AC starting in January or at least February at the latest and get them all remembering, okay, it's AC season, it's coming up. We got to start looking for potential AC leaks while we're doing our multi points, start checking the vents for temperature. And then when these cars do come in, they're blowing warm. Here's the checklist I want you to run. Here's the flow chart so you can fast maintenance and fast diag this. Don't get tripped up and turn a 20-minute diag into a 2-day diag because you forgot your basic AC principles. It's just one of those things. And also with the high turnover of technicians that are going on nowadays, it seems like every year we lose 2 people and we pick up 5 people, and then those guys are like, "I never do AC. We just had one dude who did every all the AC and who told us what to do." Well, not in our shop. Everyone's expected to diagnose AC as soon as you make it out of Express. I get paid for connectors, you buy that and install it. Yeah, so whenever I find some stuff like this and it's kind of unique to me, I I got my I'm just gonna be frank. I got tenure at the shop. So and I do all the old cars and I do a lot of the heavy lifting like when it comes to like warranty engine repairs. So I keep this stuff in reserve and when I made my initial purchase, I just presented it to my manager and I said, I would like to have these readily available and I want to order a handful of them and keep them on hand. Can you help me out? And he says, you can buy $100 or whatever you want and I'll reimburse you. So I just kind of work that relationship because he understands, it's an old car, it's got old connectors, and we don't want to be zip tying and gluing anything back together. So if something big breaks, uh, where is it at? Like that, like that throttle body connector. I haven't broken one yet. Fingers crossed. Okay, in the 10 years I've been doing it, I haven't one snap yet. But I will tell you which ones have taken a hard poop on me are those injector. Okay, the coil connectors. They have all popped. So we actually do have those on hand. We keep 4 on hand and we auto refill ourselves. The alternator one, like again, like we just kind of have them, and I try to make sure that we order them when we're starting to get low. But he understands, like the engine bay gets hot, the connectors get rotten, the car's 15 years old, it's got miles on it. Let's do what we can to fix it, and then we'll just bill the plug to the connector. The only problem is with the billing is we already paid for the plug and it's not really in an inventory system. So the technician has to remember to tell the advisor, hey, like we took a plug out of our spare parts kit that was part of the shop account. So we just got to play the numbers right. I think the shop is eating most of these though, because obviously if you're paying thousands of dollars to repair an engine, shop's going to give you a freaking $10 plug. You know, we're pretty lenient like that. It's complicated. I don't run the inventory system, but sometimes the customer pays for it, sometimes the customer doesn't pay for it. 99% of the time, the customers have not paid for it. Only the few times when the customer comes in and they did their own tune up and they broke their connectors, then we go, hey, we got something for you. We'll fix it. And then all of a sudden, that guy's paying like $25 a plug when we bought him for 10. It's the price of availability. Here, what was another one? I'm gonna do this off screen and then bring it in because I got to go into a private account. Uh, I just resupplied on this one, guys. You'll love it. Whew. I'm getting ready to sign off here. I'm getting tired too. Where is it at? I know I brought this up on Fluffy's channel and then I put it up as a post somewhere. Dang it. Nope, not finding it. Oh, that is not going to be good. I am not going to find it this way. I'll have to put it up in the community tab again if I don't find it. Making one last attempt to find it. Definitely not going to find it. Okay. But I got yeah, that's the 4-channel hand tech that I'm rocking right there. And yeah, it's a better deal. 226 and you get all this stuff right there. Not too bad. Was it? Yeah, so I was trying to find a bag. I bought a 5-pound bag from Delphi, and Delphi makes a lot of the trim panels in domestic vehicles, and a lot of their clips and hose connectors, they fall on the floor and they don't want to organize it or find out where it came from. So they just sweep it all up and they put it into a bag and they sell it by the pound, minimum 5-pound bag. So I got this big bag of every type of trim clip you could think out of. Just like everyone, even the little tiny uh trim clips that go on weather stripping, they're in there too. And they're factory grade. They're amazing. One bag will last you for years. But yeah, I gotta find it again because I only paid about $20 shipped for it. But it's got a goofy way it looks up. I have a Vantage Ultra that I picked up on Snap on Man for you got yours cheaper than mine. Because what did I got really excited because the Mac Tool truck had a snap-on bag that I opened up and there was a 2-channel modus in there. And I was like, "Wait, what? This thing looks brand new." I mean, it still had like twisty ties on the test leads, and when I powered it up, it showed that the battery had only been charged like 50 times. I was like, it honestly looked like the guy just bought it, didn't know how to use it, didn't want to use it, and then eventually just gave up and sold it to the Mac tool guy and asked him how much, and he says 500. Done. A two channel scope, a two channel graphimeter. Hell yeah, I'll take it. It's a powerful tool and it's got the component tester in it. Look up the Handtech 108C. All right. Oh, dang. Okay, so that is the 8 channel desktop model one. Okay, so I read about this one and I was looking at this one when I was looking at my 4 channel and it's 12-bit. I think when I was looking around for mine, Martin said he advised me to get the 4 channel just for the circuit protection that it had, so I didn't fry it by hooking up an injector. But now that you're mentioning it, I wonder if this one's an 8-bit. 8-bit. Hmm. I'm not seeing the bit rate on this one. Oh, wait. 4 channel 70 samples, divisions. I don't know. Maybe you guys have already answered it for me. I think it's the same. Yeah, dude, it's like Snap-on has not changed their scope software for 20 fucking years. They just had the diagnostic guy bring up the truck and he was trying to get me out of my Vantage. I was like, "Why? What does yours do that mine doesn't?" And he was like making some statements and I was getting mad with him. I was like, I'll listen to you if you stop reading from the brochure. Okay? I was like, it's obvious you don't use this tool. Because I'm telling you, it's the same damn tool. You just put a different graphic user interface on there. Instead of it running on Windows 7, it's running on Windows 10. Like, there's nothing that I can't do. I'll go toe to toe with my Vantage against your Zeus any day. And not to mention, you still haven't updated your scope with its archaic software. Yeah, it is cheaper, isn't it? It's like half the price. Holy crap, 2000 volts. Yeah, because that one's for doing different jobs on a test bench. Okay, good to know. All hand ticks are 8-bit. I am trying to save up my money for a Pico, though. I need to stop playing around. I need to get a Pico. But what's that Ukrainian company? Is it Roadkey? Rotkey. Rotkee. Rodkey's up in business again. They were down because of the war for a while, but he's back up in business. And I've been wanting to get one of his scopes because they're very interesting. His software is very interesting, especially with like this just blows my mind what it can do. It's got a completely different outlook on everything. But guys, if you're looking for some very, very high quality, inexpensive oscilloscope, automotive test leads, pinouts, uh, first look sensors, check out Rodkey. Great rates. And it's not rebranded Handtech stuff. It's their own stuff. Yes, Wave Pico and their tech best for the price. Yes. AS Wave is another great website. AES. I shop there very often. This is Handtech or AES Wave is a website that I encourage people to visit because they're not going to sell novelty test equipment. They're not going to have anything that they themselves haven't vetted. And when something does pop up on here and somebody purchases it and they don't like it, AES Wave will own it. They'll say like, "Oh, well, okay, well, what's wrong?" They'll take the feedback and the criticism seriously, and they may not sell it on their website anymore. And that's happened with a couple of products that they rushed it to market, and they're like, "Hey, the people don't like them." But the AES Wave pinout kit is the best one on the market so far because their pins they use a very high quality heat shrink, so that way you can shove a lot of pins in there. What's a damn Pico going for right now? There's a Pico starter kit. Click on it. 3,300 bucks for the latest 4-channel Pico scope. Ooh. You know what? Sell to me without the amp clamps. I got plenty of amp clamps now. I mean, that's still not too bad because this is their new smart oscilloscope. Each one of these channels now has its own 5-volt reference that follows along with it. So if you're hooking up pressure transducers, you don't need to have a 5-volt reference box anymore. Get a Pico low and mid amp clamp. That's the same one as the Snap-on. Snap-on rebrands Pico amp clamps. This is your 300 to 500 amp clamp. Oh, and then you're going to get the ignition coil pickup. That's not too bad. I need to find somebody that's getting out of the old version and wants to get into this version and see if they just want to cut a deal. But I never see a used Picoscope anywhere. No, I haven't done any updates on the 2-channel Snap-on. I just left it with the version that it's at. I got a Vantage that's running on the latest edition. I'll have to look more into that 8-channel one. it was made to be used on an 8-cylinder engine. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hang out enough, you'll start picking up all this stuff, Juan. Hmm. I don't know what half this stuff was until I just started eavesdropping on crowds and started looking stuff up. Their software was made by a Rodkey engineer. Oh. Oh, by a rocket engineer. Their software was made by a rocket engineer. A Russian rocket engineer. Yeah, why not? It feels good to know I'm the one that knows less in here. Don't sweat it, man. I get outranked by somebody in automotive every day. Like you get on the internet, you'll find somebody out there who's just done more, seen more, and has more tools. They're Pico transducers or Rodkey transducers. The ATS scope is badass, 16-bit, so many functions, just takes getting used to it. ATS to ATS. Oh, Bernie Thompson's scope. Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, you that is a mind breaker. I got to use it in person only for a few minutes. I wanted to spend a whole day with it, but I was already blown away with all the options. It was crazy. It dude, it made my snap-on scope look like a rotary phone. That's just how advanced it was. Yeah, it's a hard argument. Some people love the ATS scope, some people love the Pico scope, and they'll fight back and forth with pros and cons on them. I talked to a couple other people who actually teach oscilloscope classes, and they found a couple of cons with the ATS scope. I can't remember what particular they were, but they were just kind of some nitpicky stuff. I think they were just trying to find some nitpicky stuff. I think they're both very, very, very good scopes. I see the Bernie scope, the ATS scope, being fantastic at looking at CAN bus signals and diagnosing fuel related issues. He's all over that stuff. Rodkey, yes, all good stuff. I put in a big order for his stuff years ago, and I love it. I didn't update either. I know how to use so many other changes. Yeah, yeah. It's like once you kind of get through it, once you get the tool, you don't really need to go through all the updates. The only reason why I would, if I was going to update any of the Snap-on stuff, it would be as if I was allowing the rest of the shop use it as a main tool. For instance, if I had a garage with 8 stalls and I had a Zeus out there and somebody was going to scan a car, I'd be like, yeah, grab the Zeus because the Zeus one, it's going to remember all its scans. So if that car does come back, then I could walk over and I could be like, okay, well, the previous scan is on this car. I can look at it too. If it does a scan, it finds a code, then that rookie tech is going to be given some sort of guidance on how he can approach a situation. Uh, Components that he should look at and rule out. If he wants to test something, he's going to be given a guided component test on it. So like a rookie technician is still going to need an actual mentor there to walk them through and teach them stuff. But eventually, the the Zeus tool helps wing that relationship off to the point of where he can run through all the steps and then go back to boss man and say, I plugged it in. I've been on this car for 30 minutes. I did this. I did this. I did this. I need some help. And that's what it's really good for. It's a main shop. Or if you're just bouncing between a lot of different brands and you don't have time to dig through a lot of manuals, it does give you really fast information. It's it's a sucker punch to invest into, but it can definitely make you some money if you got the cars coming in. Obviously, if you're doing nothing but services, if all you do is services on vehicles and brakes and struts, and you buy a $10,000 Snap on Zeus, you're wasting your money. You don't need it. You could go buy a, a $500 tool from Altel or Think Diag, and it'll do all those reset procedures that you need. You can get a magic multi. I like the ads better than the Pico, but Pico has, yes, the library on the Pico is amazing. Uh, if you have money, 100% Pico, but you need to be serious about it. Yes. And I also have to inform people that are going towards the Pico route is don't forget you need a laptop to go with it. Hmm. It shows up and then they go, "Oh, what do I do? I got a box with 4 plugs on it." Like, "Will you plug it into your laptop?" "I don't have a laptop. I have a desktop." Like, get a cart and a long extension cord." I like the ATD laptop scope. Oh, it's so slick. It really is. And man, don't no, you guys are gonna make me buy one. I don't wanna buy one. The wife will kill me. She will absolutely murder me if I get another oscilloscope. Alright, it's 10:30 here Central Standard Time. We could talk scopes all day, guys. We really could. Uh, Sergio, congratulations on winning the screwdrivers. I'll get them out to you as soon as I get the email. I think I still got your address, so I'll just send them out. Everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching and helping me get through this STIS training. I got a lot of slides to go fix, but for right now, I got to get some sleep because tomorrow I'm going to go watch Ghostbusters. It's out in theaters right now, so I'm kind of excited to see Bill Murray again. Love that guy. So take care. I'll see you next week, Saturday at 8. Okay, Central Standard Time.